know once you start, there's no going back. This means total commitment. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Glamour.
An attractive or exciting quality that makes certain people or things seem appealing. Enchantment, magic.
Alright, so let's explore glamour. And when we talking about glamour, we talking about the impermanent nature of life. Meaning things come, meaning things go, meaning things are not as they appear to be, right? Because glamour is something that is pleasing to the eye. It's something that seems to be one thing, but a lot of times when we talking spiritually, it's always deeper than what meets the eye. It's always deeper than what you taste, and it's always deeper than what you touch it, because everything got a spiritual energy to it, right? And it's funny, I've been thinking about this for a little while, like just how as a collective we seem to be caught up in a sort of a enchantment or a spell, so to speak, when it just comes to us being able to trust our own energies, being able to just dig a little bit deeper, being able to just question things. So a lot of times you get situations where we have a mass amount of people that get their belief system, get their sense of self, get their identity, their values and worth based on things outside of themselves. So I had, the question is like, what's real? What's the real thing about this glamorous world that we participate in, this glamorous culture that everybody participates in? What's real about it? And when I ask myself that question, the only thing I could think of is the only thing that's real about it is the trauma that drives a person to need the thing to define themselves, the position to define themselves, the contract, the music deal, or whatever they're gonna chase for, the likes, the comments, whatever they're gonna chase for. What is the thing that's driving that? And the only thing I could think of is trauma, insecurities, and drama too. Definitely be a lot of drama, but the trauma, the insecurities, the doubts, the feeling of that you lack something, right? This is the power that we give away to the thing. This is the power that we give away to the relationship, to whatever it is that we are using, and whatever illusion that we caught up in. Because for the most part, glamour is an illusion. It appears to be one thing, but it's really another thing. So when we talking about relationships, you might find two people that's together, but they really apart spiritually. You feel me? They together, they hold their hands, they spending time together, but they're not building and they're not rooted in anything substantial. And this is the world that we living in right now. And it's kind of like signing to a 360 deal, like how they do you in the industry. You put all of the eggs in one basket first, and then once you get the experience, it's not what you was hoping it was. It's not what you believed it to be. And like I said, this hope and this form of reaching so much outside yourself is driven by just a feeling of not feeling tied to something that's actually real. I'm going to say it like that. Because like I said, what's real in the world? Only thing real, and there's nothing real in the world at all. Everything come, everything go. The only thing that is substantial is the soul that embodied this vehicle. I always got to go back to that. So as we chase, you know how TLC said, don't go chasing waterfalls and shit. Some of y'all too young to know about TLC, but for those of us that know, like, don't go chasing waterfalls. You know what I mean? Stop chasing the illusion. Stop dealing with that and pouring into that, and deal with that hole, that shallowness that you got in you that drives you to do that. You feel what I'm saying? And like I said, it's like a 360 deal. You know, these labels, they catch these kids while they're young. They catch them while they're thirsty. They catch them in a vulnerable state. They catch them when they feeling at their lowest point, feeling the most hungry. And they offer them something that seems big in the scheme of things because they coming from nothing, and it seems like a once-in-a-lifetime chance. But in reality, it's buying your soul, buying your time, buying your attention. So I said that to say this: we mingle with a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of places that appear to have some substance to it, that appear to have something that's enticing and pleasing to the senses. You know what I mean? But if it's not rooted in spirituality, if it's not rooted in something real, something substantial, then it has no room for growth. It only has room to dissolve. That's it. That's the only thing glamour can do, is appear and dissolve. Come, then go. And so we deal with the impermanent nature of life. We all have our different ways of dealing with it. Because life has always reminded you, like, yo, this shit is not forever. It's always reminding you that you're in between life and death. It's always reminding you that you really don't know, no matter how much you act so certain about life. It reminds you that you really don't know. You really can't anticipate things how you thought you could. And that leave a lot of us feeling anxious. So we look for these sources that seem a little bit more permanent, that seem a little bit more sturdy, like the news, the government, the doctors, the scientists, and things like that. We look for these people to do the work for us. We look for these people to know shit, to do the important things, the things we can't seem to wrap our minds around. Just like a rapper, he going to the record label, he looking for them to put him in a position that he feel like he can't put himself. But the key word is he feel like he can't put himself in that situation because of, due to whatever his lack of confidence or lack of knowledge or whatever, or lack of awareness or whatever he feels that he's lacking. But he can very well, or she can very well, pick these things that they're lacking up along the way. But because of the disbelief in oneself, right, you go to the record label, and it's gonna cost you for your unawareness. It's gonna cost you for the shit you don't know, the things that you're blind to right now. It's gonna cost you. That's why you got a lot of record companies that seem to be the bad guy, because they signed these people to deals that wasn't in the person's best interest. But we gotta understand, like, when a person, place, or thing has an agenda, then the agenda is the agenda. You can't be mad at that. You have to know your own agenda. And a lot of times when we get caught up in the illusion, the glamour, we can't see the other person's agenda because we have our own. Case in point, the broke rapper that just coming into the game, he just wants some money to survive in his hood. He might just want some money to get his mother out of it, whatever the case may be. He just might want to impress his friends or whatever. And that's just a temporary situation. You making something that's impermanent permanent. You was in an impermanent situation, being broke and being hungry and trying to survive, right? That could have been just a glitch in the time of your life that you're moving away from, but you go sign these permanent deals. And this is what we do when we don't want to get down to the root of shit, don't want to get down to the real of it, because the roots is always the ugly part. We embrace the flower, we embrace the trees, we embrace all of the gifts that they give us, but we don't fuck with the roots of things. And the roots is where things started. The roots is where things are derived from. You feel what I'm saying? So then we end up in the hands of other entities and other establishments that's making choices for us. Another example, these pandemics that's going on, these vaccinations that's going on, people, because of their lack of awareness, their lack of knowledge, and their lack of like trust in themselves, and their lack of being rooted in something real, fall easy prey to whatever the system is, whatever that thing is that's looking shiny and looking like it's going to work, and whatever that thing is that appeals to their rational mind. Even though deep down inside, a lot of people really felt on the soul level when their spirit was nudging them and telling them like something just ain't right. And just because something's not right, you shouldn't move forward in this direction. But see, we don't like to move on the spirit. We don't like to just take what the soul say and run with it. We like that. We got to see. We got to let it unfold. It got to appeal to our rational mind. So what happens is a government official, a scientist, some billionaire that don't really know shit about real life, don't know shit about spirit, don't know shit about soul, they come up and they tell you what's in your best interest. And because you have lack of awareness of your own power, you go ahead and you give it away. You go ahead and you put your destiny and fate in their hands. And you end up getting real consequences based on something that was never real, something that was an illusion. But the thing is this, though, like I said, what drove the person to make those decisions? What drives you to do that? And I just feel like it's just a lack of a real relationship with yourself. A lot of people do this self-talk, and a lot of people always talking about self-love and things like that. But what about when yourself is telling you to ride a season out? What about when yourself is telling you not to sell yourself short, but you got needs right now? What about when that deal, it look appealing right now for the temporary wants and needs that you might have, but in the long run, it's not going to fulfill the soul. It's not going to fulfill no purpose. It's not going to be quenching to your spirit. And our reality is actually going to become a burden to it. It's actually going to become a parasite to it. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with just a bunch of glamour, a bunch of 360 deals in the world. And people are bearing real rotten fruit from temporary choices that really are driven by fear that is rooted in a deeper space that they're not in touch with. So when you're not in touch with fear, right? So when you don't even know where your fears come from, it's easy for your enemies to fool you. It's easy for your enemies to look like friends. It's easy for your enemies to look like family when you're not in touch with your own fears. Because once the fear come up, you in fight or flight mode. And people always look at fight or flight mode like, oh, fighting is cool, you know, you ain't run. But at the same time, you had to find a middle space in between flight and fight. So when you get acquainted with your own fears, it take away the power of your blind spots, your enemies, the people that want to do a 360 deal with you, and it's not in your best interest. It's in the company's best interest. It's in that person's best interest. Being in relationships where you're doing what the other person want to do more than what you want to do, and it's not really just not feeding you, and it's not bearing no fruit on a soul level. And you know, another thing about glamour, right? It come as a lot of archetypes in this world. So you got a lot of shows, you got a lot of entertainment that depict certain nationalities, certain type of people in certain ways, right? Down to how we should have relationships, how we should treat each other, what a date look like, what phase of your life are you, what phase of your relationship are you in, and all of that kind of shit. Like putting a certain type of pressures on both the male and the females. You feel what I'm saying? So they already come to the table with certain expectations that don't allow them to have any genuity. So we moving into a space where genuity is like cash money. Authenticity is like gold. Originality, your uniqueness, confidence is like air. You know what I'm saying? So when you ask, what's real? The only thing real, because the only thing real is the soul, but the soul is unseen, though. Well, it seems to be unseen, because the soul always speaking and always manifesting itself through the vessel and with whatever that vessel attached to. And when we talking attachment, we talking about thought forms, your primal urges and desires, your lower natures, things that's appealing to your body and your senses. You feel me? A lot of times that be the thing that override the soul, period. We get into a mode where we got to keep our certain type of lifestyle going. We got to keep our certain type of urges fed. So because we don't deal with it and face it head on, we have all these things that pull from us that wind up, kind of sucking us dry or fooling us or keeping us unaware, keeping us chasing, keeping us pouring more into the illusion, more into the glamour. And it's a dirty game out here. Like, you go and pay for your unawareness, or you're going to pay for your ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I'm not even talking about just being blind to the fact. Some people blind to the fact. Some people have the facts right in their face and they still don't want to take a real look at them and deal with the realness of the circumstances. So a lot of people don't want to entertain the unseen. A lot of people don't want to entertain spirituality. A lot of people don't want to entertain their consciousness. So a lot, we like to numb ourselves up and stimulate ourselves throughout the day, the weeks, the months, and we find ourselves just, when we do that, we chasing. We chasing this period of time where we could finally quench our thirst. We chasing a period of time where we could finally sit down and actually have a rest. One day. And it's like putting a carrot in front of the donkey. We just keep on going, thirsty, and just keep having a unquenchable thirst. Because when you're not feeding the roots, and you gotta get, that's the thing. No matter how good the plant look, no matter how good the tree might look or whatever, you have to understand whatever is nurturing that tree is invested and acquainted with the roots of the tree, or the tree would not be. So everything is spiritual. The roots are always unseen. You gotta pull them up. Everything is spiritual. So, and it really manifests in everything, in every relationship, and everything you do. Like I say in my household, I always say, how you do anything is how you do everything. I forget where I got that from, but how you do anything is how you do everything. It's so true. So the however you do, wash your dishes, it shows a part of who you are. You know what I'm saying? All right, do you have the time to sit and really scrub and really put the work in so that you're eating off the best possible, cleanest dishes you could possibly have? When you cooking a meal, is you trying to put your foot in it every time? You feel me? But when we on that chase, and we think that it's out there, and we caught up in a glamour, we caught up in an illusion, we don't have time for the shit that matter. So it's easy for somebody to wave a contract in your face, and then you just hurry up and sign off, and you be signing to terms and conditions that don't benefit you or your offsprings. And when I say that, I mean that in the physical and in the spiritual. I'm getting more acquainted with how, through watching business moves and stuff like that in my personal life, I'm getting acquainted with how these contracts go, and how to sit at the table and negotiate and things like that. And I see how harsh the terms are when it comes to the creator of the intellectual properties. Really, they be trying to take the leverage away from you, because they know, I know law, maybe you don't know that much law. Maybe you don't realize. Maybe you're blinded by the glamour. Maybe you blinded by your little so-called urges, wants, and needs and desires, and maybe that's enough for you to sign. So let me try you out. Let me see if you're willing to be another victim. And it's like, yeah, y'all both got a seat at the table, but y'all sitting from two different angles, though. Y'all seeing the room different. So we sign these spiritual contracts each and every day with ourselves and then with others. There's no way to separate the intertwining of the spirit. It's no way to the energy. You feel me? You always clash in energies. You always either clash in energies, you mix in energies, you merge in energies. You could be creating a synergy if you with the right individual. First, yourself being that right individual first. So then you can know one when you see one. Real recognize real. You feel me? But you would have to be that type of person. And this was emerging in these times. This is what's popping right now. This is what's immediate. You have to be able to see past the illusion. Even the illusions we create for ourselves. We got to be able to see past it. We got to stop putting the power outside of us in some shape or form. Even down to the things we create. Even down to the way we want to be seen, the way we want to be heard, our life purpose and all of this type of shit. It got to come a point of surrendering. And I feel like no matter what religion you go through, no matter what practice modality you go through, you always got to come back to a form of surrendering to just the nature of how life is. Just the nature of how reality is. And that nature is an uncertain one. And because of that, if you surrender and try to stop grabbing hold of something that you truly can't have dominion over, you truly can't have control over, and realize your control lies within yourself, right? Your treasures lie within yourself, right? And everything outside of you going to reflect that. You'll be able to sit at these tables spiritually and emotionally, physically, on every level, and be able to read through the fine print of these contracts and be the one that don't sit at the table and willing to negotiate your soul. And like I said, we doing this on every dimension, on every little thing. I don't care if you go in a certain store and you wind up buying this over here because it's let's just say it's what everybody else doing, but it's not even right for your energy. You get what I'm saying? Like, I see a lot of people, they be dressed like they just took the whole outfit off the mannequin, and I'm like, damn, where's you at in the equation? You just think you're gonna rock that and it's appealing to society, it's appealing to the culture, and your favorite artist had it on, so now you go throw it on and it don't even fit your energy. You know what I mean? You got a chick that don't even fit your energy, don't even compliment you when y'all step out. Y'all out, but it's not like y'all got brother, bro, sister vibes, cause y'all got the cousin vibes. Because sometimes when we not invested in the soul space, the glamour be looking good. I ain't gonna lie. It be looking good. Sometimes you gotta ask yourself about a rapper, like, why would you sign a deal for that and sign your whole masters and life away and all? Because it was looking good at that time. That's why. Because it would shine. It would look this shiny from far away. It looked real shiny from far away, but they ain't never realized, like, that shine is coming off the sun, though. That's just it's coming off the sun. And the sun, the sun always giving. The sun is just genuine. The sun is just shining. Like, it ain't shining because you do right or wrong, or you good or bad, or you evil, or you confused, or whatever. The sun gonna shine regardless. And that's what people fail to realize. Like, if you one of them ones, you gonna get tested. You're going to get offered deals. You're going to be at the table signing contracts, like I said, spiritually, and then you can go on down the ladder. And you got to be aware of that. And if you sturdy, people won't even come at you with a certain type of energy. You feel me? And This what we got to know right now. Like yesterday, we got to know this. We got to be in this energy of just doing inventory on what's coming in and what's going out, and what and who is influencing us and how it's influencing us. Isn't it beneficial to us or not? We have to be the judges of that. Or are we giving a little piece of ourselves away just to get something for collateral that's not truly worth it? So we can have a nice chain on our neck, so to speak, a spiritual chain on our neck, like we doing something, but all we really doing is just chasing and exhausting ourselves. You're just caught in the glamour, just totally caught in it. It's a lot of people sick right now. It's a lot of people don't know what's going on with their health and things like that from decisions that they made that they were not knowledgeable of. Meaning they didn't have the awareness of what was really going on. But, so, this media that we deal with, this government that we deal with, if you sit up there and you make it so real in your world, you're going to abide by those laws. And you're going to die by them too. And this is just how real it got. Like, I thought it was going to be more of an awakening. And I know we're going through a quickening and the awakening, and people are starting to really read into shit and things like that and start to question things, but I've really seen it another way. So I'm just coming to grips with the fact that it's a mass amount of people that really don't have any taste for the truth. I didn't want to believe that. My heart did not want to believe that. I felt like if, you put the truth in people's face, if it's something that's taken from them, if they can see that, if they can tie the strings together and see the correspondence in it, like, oh, this is affecting me on a day-to-day, this is affecting my children, this is affecting my life, this is real, these are real life decisions. Nah, people just fight or flight. Let me do whatever I can do right now in this moment, which is all temporary, but let me do this right now so that I could sleep at night without this fear all over me all the time. So I can have a sense of self again, so I can have a sense of normalcy. So we living in a world right now where there is a such thing as normal, meaning everybody pretty much conducts themselves the same. We conduct ourselves a certain type of way in society. We speak a certain type of way. We dress a certain type of way. We all listen to the same kind of music and all of that, right? And we really are on a collective level. Not all of us. Not if you're listening to something like this with an open mind, but collectively, because we can't break ourselves from the collective, really. No matter how much you want to be a part, no matter how much your thoughts is different, your frequency is different, you still tied to the collective in some type of way, and that's why you should never look down on nobody. But collectively, we tied to this energy, so it's a sense of normalcy. So everybody acts a certain way, just so we can agree on having a sense of like everything's all right. But like I said, the nature of life keeps showing you like, nah, you don't know. No, you're wrong. No, change is going to happen whether you like it or not. But we can just fight against it. So, like I said, we place our power into the hands of these belief systems, church, religion, like I said, doctors, people that have degrees, all these institutions. We empower that as a collective. We say we make that real. So what about what's going to happen when we change our mind? What's going to happen when we say, oh, no, we don't care about that no more. We care about like our resources. We care about our children learning about themselves, and the nature of life and their soul, and getting it more into their purpose and doing and starting to build and cultivate an identity based on what they're interested in, and not what a concentration camp/school teach you how to be, how to talk, where to go, what's the next step in life, what you should do and all that. I feel like we at a point like, damn, okay, people really finally must realize like the system itself not working. Like the system itself is not sufficient or beneficial to our existence, period. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in how everybody, pretty much barely making it. And then you got a whole boatload of people that's still trying to stunt and still trying to act like and live outside their means. And spiritually first, though. Living outside their means spiritually. Because you got to do everything spiritually first. You have to be a certain type of person to do certain type of things. That's around my house. So I tell like, damn, you going to leave the dishes like that? If you would just leave the bathroom floor like this, what does that say about your character? What does that say about you at your core? That you can't take 5 seconds to pick that up or clean that up or be a little considerate about the next person. Just that shit that I learned along the way. I haven't always been all that sufficient in these areas, but you start to learn as you go. If you start to be grounded spiritually. So right now, if you're not beginning to ground yourself spiritually, then you have no ground to walk on. Literally. And like I always say, you can see it in all the artists out right now. Not just the new artists, old artists, new artists. They got a lot of verses going on, trying to revive people's career. But you really see the celebrities appealing more to the people. Before, you couldn't get close to a celebrity. You couldn't interact with them. You couldn't talk to them. You had to catch them at a concert and hopefully you get a glance of them. They was bigger than life. The glamour was there. It was so blinding that, you really got inspired from a lot of these characters. Now they looking at you trying to get your attention. Because the spirit in that, the spirituality in that, the juice in that is gone. So now they got to look to where it's that they showing you we need your soul. We need your attention. We need your time to be successful. We need you to go to work and work that 9 to 5 and buy our tickets to our concert, play our music, support our merchandise. We need you. And people still, it ain't hit people yet. Oh shit, we the real celebrities. All I got to do is just be me. And people make being yourself seem so easy. It's really not that easy. It's a paradox. It's a real paradox because once you start to dig into the bag of who you thought you was and how you was created by mom and dad and school and college and your environment and all that, once you start to realize that all of these things had something to do with who you are, how you are and what you are, and they influence you to be who you are, when you realize they suggested that you be a certain type of way, and this is constantly happening in your reality all the time, whether you go on an Instagram post, Facebook, TikTok or whatever, YouTube, it's always pointing to a certain direction of how you should be, what you ought to be, what size you should be, what you should buy. It's always an advertising. It's always something trying to get you to attach your sense of self to it. And then it just come and it go. Because it's an illusion. I ain't saying not to want nice things. I love nice things too. But I'll be damned if I get lost and think that my identity is tied to these things. I know I'm gonna get you get certain reactions from wearing certain clothes and driving certain cars and having a certain status. That's natural because people are attached to the glamour of those things. So if you have them, certain things come with it. I had a time in my life where I used to only fuck with designer shoes and people started to know me for that, and I started to see how shallow and hollow people are. People would react to me a certain type of way, treat me different, give me little perks that my friend couldn't get because he might not have had the same type of artillery. If I said that right, you know what I mean, though. But even that, I know we got to communicate, but it's a suggested way that we should ought to speak. I'm sure like everybody else that got a YouTube channel for the most part that do it often like I do, they have an intro, they have an outro, but that's just not my thing for real. But it's hard to trust yourself and just walk in what you feel comfortable with doing because everybody else not doing it. And that's, like I said, that's a part of the illusion too. That's a part of the glamour. You would have to trace back to where they started to reap the pressure from to make them want to be like that. So it just go on and on and on. And it's really an individual journey. That if you take the real journey, if you go on your spiritual path, and if you live your life from the inside out, and each one teach one, I guess. I really don't know about that, but what it's for you. It's the journey for you to go on. That's why when I speak, I don't really speak too much about what we need to do as a collective. I speak about what you need to do as an individual. What I've seen along my individual journey. Because you could clearly see what the world want to do. You could clearly see what society wants you to do. You could clearly see it's like now it's out in the open. It's not like you got to go find an ancient book or some shit to know certain things. Now it's just out there. So at this point, it's being rejected. That's the impression I'm under. I'm under the impression that people just rejecting the awareness. They just rejecting the knowledge. Because I don't see where the glamour and the illusion is that potent anymore. I feel like the veil is lifted. I feel like by now you should be looking stupid if you got money to your ear. You know what I mean? Like, gas is like super high right now. Like, everything is crazy. Like, so as a collective, we can't all realistically live on those type of terms. So it look kind of crazy for a few people to be promoting that right now. So I want to speak to those of us that been on this journey for a while, because I always gotta start making sure I pay homage to those of us that no matter how ugly it look, no matter how weird it look, no matter how society, the culture, no matter how our family, friends, people around us that don't understand us and don't get our path, no matter how much we deal with that awkwardness, you know what I'm saying? We still stay true to the path. I gotta give a round of applause to us, because it's a lot of things out here that's appealing right now. It's a lot of things out here that's enticing. It's a lot of narratives and a lot of storylines that could really have scared you up and pushed you to a certain direction or made you question your path. And then you got to walk through the fire, like I said, of people looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, I just been speaking publicly for like the last 2 years. And don't nobody around me that, that know me from my past. Don't nobody that really kind of know me. I got a very small circle. And that's for a reason too. But don't nobody understand what I'm doing. Ain't nobody supporting this shit that know me. I mean, it's very few, and shout out to everybody that do. I'm not discounting the people that do, but I'm just saying, y'all know how it is. Like, you think when you about to step on your new journey, or you about to be an entrepreneur, or you going to be speaking and shit like that, you think people about to jump out here and probably, support you a little bit. And that's why you have to do it from a soul space. You got to be doing shit because your soul want to do it, because your spirit want to do it. Like, I always tell those that's real close to me, that understand me, I'll be like, when I come out and speak and things like that and put energy out here, it's because it's almost like I gotta do it. This is what my soul want to do. This is what my spirit want to do. This is something I can't neglect. When the spirit called to me for me to do this, when I get inspired to do this, everything stop. I gotta run out, stop where I'm at, get somewhere by myself or whatever, because that's where I feel more comfortable at, and just channel this energy and just put it in the airwaves, put it in the frequency. And for those that energy is receptive to it and ultimately calling for it. We don't do nothing for nothing. We don't have dreams for nothing. We don't have certain type of niches and urges that we drawn to in life, like things that we drawn to for no reason, because it's always a spot for it. So when you get inspired by do a song or art or start your own business or make a YouTube channel or express yourself in any type of way in this world, honor that. Honor that above all else, because that's an expression of you. That shit coming from your DNA. That could be something that's changing your lineage. That could be a curse you breaking. You feel what I'm saying? And you just don't know it because it's not popular right now, because everybody not liking it and viewing it right now. It might be more valuable in 4 or 5 years, 10 years, but you got to do it off the genuine fact that your soul and your spirit is urging you to do it. So, you know, that's why I do what I do. Like, I don't even worry. If I was worried about likes, I would have been stopped. I'm not caught in the glamour of that shit. That shit it's going to taint the message. So when I see people, you know, that make their best music or do their best art or make their best whatever they do their best when they just being honest about it, when they being true to the craft of what they do. And I learned that, like, don't play with your craft. Like, don't play with your gift. You know what I mean? So when we looking back to the collective, right? When you're looking at most people around you don't spend no time or energy tapping into what they might be good at, with a skill or a gift that they could cultivate, a talent, something that's just an expression of the soul. People don't put their time into that because it's not something that's going to feed them on a material level. It's not something that seemed valuable for the moment. So people just take what they could get, and a lot of people give up, you know, a piece of themselves. They'll give up their whole catalog and everything they built because they don't know the value of it, because they was looking for that validation coming from outside of them, coming from the world, and because they never got it, they stopped wanting to do the thing. They start getting discouraged. They start selling themselves short, doing shit cheaper, not showing up to the gift no more, not putting no time and no energy into it, and start to bet on this world more, and start to lean towards the glamour more, and never exercise that gift. And I feel like you gotta bet your whole soul on shit when you know it's right. You gotta bet your whole soul on something when you know it's real. Even in the moments when it ain't for sure, even in the moments when you really don't know how it's gonna turn out. If you got that inkling, if you know, built that relationship with your intuition, or start to build that relationship with your intuition, so you know that it's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, like, it's something greater ahead, and you might have to sacrifice, or it might be seeming like a sacrifice at the time. What's on the table? Because what's on the table could very, very well sacrifice your ass, and how you dealing with stipulations and circumstances and consequences later on down the line, after you have already consumed the part of the experience that you was in it for. And that's why I'm going back to genuity. Your heart got to be right when you're going into things. Your heart got to be one of the most key players in your reality, period. It's very important to, you know, cleanse the heart. And when I say cleanse, I mean just deal with what's there. Deal with the ugliness, deal with the good of it, deal with all of it. Sit with it. When I say deal with it, I mean just sit with it. Live with it. Instead of trying to replace it, instead of trying to run from it, trying to call it something else, trying to put something over it, trying to cover it up and ignore it, you know, just live with it and accept it, and it's going to teach you some shit. It's going to teach you lessons. And most importantly, it's going to help you see through the illusion, through the glamour.